Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today we complete another episode of our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen.
Your attempts at subterfuge have failed, and this defeat will be a costly one.
Last time we left off after a mission that saw us kill 24 Lost in a single turn. We also unlocked 3 separate achievements in less than 20 minutes, and we finished the mission with our Covert Operations squad being ambushed. And so today we start things off with the extraction mission. As you saw earlier in the Shadow Chamber report, we will be facing 3 enemies, Shieldbearer and Muton among them, and the mission takes place in lost territory, so we should be careful using explosives.
You've got no time to waste. Break cover and move to the extraction point on the double.
Now, speaking of explosives, that is unfortunately what our squad is pretty good at, as we are playing this one with Grenadier Nicholas Finlay as well as with Reaper Sleeper, and the 2 of them are accompanied by Sharpshooter Radonis. Now, our task is simple, we need to get all 3 of them to the evac zone. However, missions like these usually have enemy reinforcements coming in on the first turn, so we're just using our Reaper to scout ahead a bit here, but as you can see, she does not detect anything. So let's get her into full cover and move Radonis and Nicholas onto the high ground, just to maximize our hit chances.
Raid 1, your team is compromised. We're picking up Advent response forces inbound on your position.
And there we are, as expected, Advent is dropping in reinforcements. So let's get Celica onto the high ground as well now, although she won't be able to fire a reaction shot as long as she's stealthed, while Nicholas and Radonis can then both go on Overwatch. Alright, and we've got ourselves an Advent officer and 2 troopers. Let's see if we can't take one of them out.
No place for you to go now.
Only the best.
Alright, lovely, that is the officer, and with that the most dangerous of the 3 enemies down already. And having just dropped in, our enemies do not get to act on this turn. By the way, since we just saw Nicholas shoot, yes, Radonis did fire as well. Both of them are down 1 round, otherwise we would not have been able to deal enough damage to kill the officer. Now, this leaves us with the 2 troopers, and I know this will attract the Lost, but I think we'll have to go with the explosive here. Otherwise, we will most likely not be able to deal enough damage using regular shots.
A deadly trap.
And so we are deploying Celica's Claymore, which will deal 8 points of damage guaranteed. A grenade from Nicholas, meanwhile, would only deal 4 to 5. Unfortunately, this also triggers a Lost Swarm to appear on the next turn, but let's worry about that once we have taken out these 2. And with a 91%er, Nicholas here should hopefully be able to contribute. Lovely, and that leaves the last enemy for Radonis, who already deals enough damage with his pistol to guarantee the kill.
X-ray neutralized.
On the enemy turn then, the Lost Swarm is triggered, 5 of them as usual. But as you can see, they are still pretty far away from us, so let's get a bit closer with Reaper Sleeper to get a visual.
You will never hide from me.
This should now also enable squad sight for our Sharpshooter, but the group will most likely come into range no matter what, so let's keep the 2 of them on Overwatch. Alright, that's a hit from Nicholas and a miss from Radonis.
There is nowhere to hide.
And as expected, the remaining 4 enemies are now moving closer, completely ignoring our still cloaked Reaper. So let's quickly take them out, this should not be too difficult, and I think we can give these kills to Nicholas. And there we are. All the enemies are dead and I think we can start advancing now. Nicholas gets to reload first, but Radonis is already dashing forwards and will also move a little further with Celica.
My life is in your hands.
That does not reveal anything though, so let's end our turn on Overwatch. But wherever our 3 regularly scheduled enemies are hiding, it is not anywhere close to us. So let's keep moving.
The time for hiding is over.
There we are. We have found ourselves enemy 1 of 3, a lone Muton. So far, not in a position where we could reasonably engage, so let's keep advancing. Let's put Radonis into a squad side position on the high ground. Nicholas also moves up as far as he can, and Celica can simply reload to end our turn.
Reloading!
The Muton then starts to move, and I have to say, in a promising direction, as it comes to a stop right next to a car, and well, with a Reaper in the squad, I think you know what that means. Yes, it's time for remote start.
So easily set aflame.
Now, the explosion is unfortunately not quite enough to kill the Muton, and it also once again attracts another Lost Swarm. But just like earlier, let that be our worry for the next turn. For now, let's hope our Sharpshooter hits the 94%er.
Target neutralized.
And there we go, the Muton is dead, Radonis can reload for free and also gets a free movement action because of death from above, and let's bring Nicholas up as well to end our turn.
Moving to Overwatch.
You can never escape my sight.
And as advertised, here's the swarm, although for the moment still out of Nicholas's range. And actually, let's keep it that way. It would definitely be advantageous if we trigger them on their turn. So for this one, we'll just go on Overwatch, and Radonis will actually use his pistol for this. In a situation like this, we really don't need to deal with the squad side penalty.
Hostile target down.
And there we go, the pistol shot gives us kill number 1. And Nicholas makes it 2 for 2.
Only the best.
We then quickly call upon him again to hopefully take out the Lost with 8 hit points. Before Celica can get her first kills of the mission, taking out the other 2.
I'm out of ammo. I'm reloading.
Fresh off of the reload, we can then send her forward, and since that does not reveal anything, we can pull up the rest of the squad and end our turn. On the enemy turn, then nothing, so let's keep moving towards the end of the street. The evac zone is already located on the other side of this building here, so we'll have to go either through or around it. But first things first, for now let's just get closer. Thankfully, there is plenty of cover available. At the end of the alien turn, we are then informed that a Lost Swarm is set to appear on the next one, so let us once again get off the street and secure the high ground. Although at this point I am starting to wonder where those final 2 enemies are hiding, but it seems to me like Celica has a vague idea.
They've played themselves.
The Lost Swarm then appears near the evac zone on the other side of the building, and I would say let's play this the exact same way we did before. Sooner or later, all of them will have to come to us, so let's get in a quick reload with Nicholas, use Celica to block off the ladder, and then go on Overwatch.
Reapers are always
Moving to Overwatch.
fresh targets.
And there we are, the swarm is approaching, and we've got 2 shots already waiting for them.
Only the best.
And that brings the numbers from 5 down to 3, and I think in this case Radonis can handle them all by himself, 1 with the pistol and 2 with the sniper rifle. Following a free reload, Celica can then move up.
The invaders send a patrol. You cannot run.
And with that, we finally detect enemy number 2, a shield bearer standing right inside of the evac zone, once again conveniently surrounded by cars, but our Reaper's turn has already ended, and in any case it might be a good idea to pull up the rest of our squad first. The shield bearer then starts patrolling, but thankfully does not move too far away from the car, and so we once again do what must be done, and this time the explosion should be enough for the instant kill.
Seize any advantage.
And there we go. At this point we already know the drill. That's a lost swarm set to appear on the next turn. Unfortunately, we did also destroy some loot in the process, but I think that's a fair price to pay for such an easy and convenient kill.
On the move.
What's a little less convenient is the fact that moving up Radonis now reveals the third enemy, another Muton.
I have sight beyond vision.
And with our squad almost out of actions, we don't really have a convenient way of engaging it here. What we can do, however, is move up with Nicholas and put a mimic beacon down right next to the window here. That should be in the Muton's sight range and hopefully distract it for one turn. And indeed, the Muton takes aim, and with that we ensure that no one gets injured. Or at least that would be true if XCOM didn't do XCOM things. All of a sudden, the corner of the room starts burning and the floor underneath Radonis gives out, causing our sharpshooter to take 4 points of fall damage and also setting him on fire, which means he will continue to take damage until we put it out. Unfortunately though, we can't really afford to do that just yet. Instead, the Muton is our top priority, and to make absolutely sure we get the kill on this turn, we are using another explosive, even if it triggers the lost immediately.
Fire in the hole.
You can never escape my sight.
So here's the swarm, thankfully still a good distance away from us, and for now let's stay focused on the Muton. Anything other than minimum damage would be ideal. And indeed, with 5 points of damage we guarantee ourselves the kill here, because it means that Celica can now land the killing blow.
I need more ammo. You will never hide from
The Lost then get closer but have to dash to get to us.
the shadows fail us.
In the process, they also unfortunately reveal our Reaper, but I think we are just 1 or 2 turns away from finishing the mission, so we should be fine. So let's go to work, once again starting things off with Nicholas against the high hit point enemies. As you can see, we also have a slightly weird thing happening here. One of the Lost has somehow teleported all the way over to the edge of the map and actually one tile past it, but Nicholas still has a guaranteed chance to hit and therefore gets the kill. For the remaining 3 enemies then he moves down to the ground. The hit chances from here are not guaranteed, but at least he's got line of sight in the first place. So let's see what he can do with 91, 85 and 85%. Alright, and with that all enemies are down and Nicholas actually still has 1 action left to move, which means we can now move everyone into the evac zone and get out of here before Sharpshooter Radonis burns to a crisp.
All members of Wraith 1 have been successfully evac'd.
Lovely. Time to head back home now. The injury on Radonis definitely could have been avoided, I think. But unfortunately, you cannot always predict the kind of craziness that XCOM can come up with. And considering the fact that Radonis is not part of our core rotation anyways, I think we can definitely live with today's result.
We can thank Advent for the inspiration.
I have yet to discover exactly what type of exposure led to the creation of these lost civilians, but their numbers would indicate a widespread effect.
Alright, just 3 days wounded for Radonis, we definitely got lucky there, and no promotions, at least not from this mission. Celica is definitely guaranteed one as the mission reward. Our next rumor then would give us additional Avenger power. I don't think we've had this one yet, but I also don't really think we need it at this point.
Our cooperation has proven to be a boon to the Resistance.
And there we are, with the extraction behind us, the covert operation is now completed, and as you can see, both Celica and Nicholas do get promotions after all.
We gained some additional intel on the Chosen as a result of our latest action.
My followers grow increasingly reverent of your abilities, Commander. My followers and your people continue to grow in skill, and now the Resistance can take on more responsibility should you need it.
And with that, we have once again raised our influence with the Templars, unlocking the fully operational Resistance achievement. Not to mention the suit-up Resistance order, which could prove to be very useful, because completing the powered armor research will also unlock a few armor projects in the Proving Ground. In just a moment then, we will also take care of the promotions for Nicholas and Celica, but first let's select our next covert action.
Our influence with the Resistance factions has motivated them to share some new information on the Chosen.
And we're going to follow the path that I already outlined in episode 46, I believe it was. We're going straight for the next promotion with Reaper Sleeper. As you can see, we have several ways to do so, and while a scientist would definitely be a great reward on top of it, for me at the moment the promotion is the main focus, and that is why we're going with gathering supplies, as the mission time is only 6 days, much faster than the 11 days or even the 16 days of the other two options. However, before we launch this mission, let's quickly take care of promotions. Like I said, Celica will be a part of this mission and should therefore be promoted first, I think. And for me, a Reaper at the major rank is an easy choice. We are of course going with Banish, which we already saw in action with Dragonova. Paired with a high quality repeater, this has a good chance of killing pretty much every single enemy in the game. Nicholas meanwhile is leveling up to Captain, and he has very much followed the path of a heavy gunner so far. And we are not going to move away from that, so chain shot it is. With the right setup, he should be able to land both of them reliably. And with that, we can now send out our covert action squad for this next one. Celica will be accompanied by Specialist Vintage Blade as well as by Engineer Clegane Shell, who up to this point was staffed in the Proving Ground, but since we are not pursuing any projects in there at the moment, we can easily spare him.
My followers will lead this action to victory.
Right, and with that I think we have a bit more time here to keep going, at least until we hit this month's supply drop.
Strategic resource located.
The intel scan then provides us with 38 units of intel. I had honestly hoped for a bit more, but still it's roughly half the cost of making contact with another region. Now I have decided that we are not going to pursue the Guerrilla Op or Avenger power rumors, especially since the Guerrilla Ops we would get from this are not guaranteed to be the same that were offered to us last time. So instead, let's quickly make contact with New Indonesia, which will conveniently secure a little bit more income before the next supply drop.
Commander, we have a line on the Chosen Warlock here.
And of course, no surprise to see the Warlock active in this region. Either way, we have now secured ourselves 95 additional supplies for the next supply drop. And using the respectable amount we already have, we are now going to drop a radio relay in New Indonesia. After all, we do want to secure the continent bonus here too.
Setting course for Sector 16, Indonesia.
By the way, you may have noticed installing radio relays gets progressively more expensive, but we also have a big chunk of cash coming our way, so it should all work out.
Incoming message for you, Commander. Patching it through to your quarters now.
I had high hopes for the Resistance under your leadership, Commander, and you have outdone yourself.
Alright, thanks to popular support, we achieve a 4-figure monthly income, and you can see it clearly, the Council has more than enough reason to be pleased with us.
My focus, all of my efforts have been rewarded. I am reinvigorated.
The assassin then gains low profile, giving her a +20 defense bonus after being attacked for the first time each turn, which can definitely be annoying, but also circumvented. I'll show you how the next time we meet her.
I'm coming for you, Commander. There will be no further delays.
The assassin then getting close to maxing out the knowledge bar for the second time in this series, and while she is currently initiating a 4th dark event, the Warlock just keeps training, so at least we won't have to worry about another sabotage. Loyalty among thieves and Viper rounds then return as potential dark events. Meanwhile, the assassin is preparing High Alert, which we have seen previously as well and which could become problematic, especially since we will not be able to counter it via regular guerrilla ops. And while it hurts to do, let's spend the additional 30 intel here to reveal the hidden event. And once again, we've got Infestation, so chrysalids are back on the menu. Last time around, this was definitely a bit of a pain, so it might be worth countering if the opportunity presents itself. Moving on then, we get to the Resistance orders, and we have 3 slots to fill here. And let's begin with the Templar orders, which I think are easy choices. Like I said, Suit Up will be very useful once the Powered Armor research project is completed. And Deeper Learning 2 is universally useful on every single mission, especially considering the high XP thresholds for those last few ranks. With our second wildcard slot, meanwhile, we will activate Inside Job 2. I think intel might be one of the most crucial resources for the rest of the game, while supplies are very much becoming less of a concern, so I think it's time to part ways with popular support and activate Resistance Rising 2. I have still not given up on my hope of making contact with all 16 regions with only one Resistance comms facility.
Consider it done, Commander.
And there we are, 1049 supplies are richer, and with that last Resistance order now also at 16 Resistance contact slots. One of those, however, comes from our second Resistance comms facility, so if we could acquire just one more from elsewhere, we could demolish that, which would then allow us to construct one of the 2 facilities we have not yet built.
Our cooperation has proven to be a boon to the Resistance.
And there we are, with even more supplies coming our way and with Reaper Celica being promoted to the final rank of Colonel, and as a result now actually overtaking Dragonova. Before we take care of that, however, let's take a closer look at our next covert action.
If you would order us, Commander, we will undertake a new means of disrupting the Elders and their false vision.
Now, with the influence of all 3 factions raised to high, the list here is quite extensive. As you can see, we currently have a grand total of 14 covert actions to choose from, and already I'm spotting 1 or 2 here that might be of particular interest. One thing we are of course always looking for are more ways to get our high-level soldiers promoted. Even with the 20% XP bonus we just activated, getting someone from Major to Colonel can take a while, and thankfully the Templars offer us not 1 but 2 such missions. This one here in particular, which also has an intel reward, seems intriguing to me. We could also get another promotion by infiltrating the Warlock stronghold, and it looks like we're in luck and could also grab 1 more Resistance contact. Now, we're not going to make a choice just yet, but let me know in the comments what you think we should go with. In the meantime, let's jump over to the Armory and promote Reaper Sleeper for the final time. At the rank of Colonel, Reapers unlock 2 rather expensive abilities, the first one being Homing Mine, allowing Celica to attach a claymore to an enemy, a claymore that will then not have to be shot individually but instead explodes once the enemy takes damage. Quite useful in the right circumstances, but as you can see, also quite expensive. The same is true for Annihilate, an upgrade to Banish, which allows Celica to keep firing even if the target of Banish is already killed, and this will continue until she either runs out of targets or out of ammo. Once again, potentially very useful, but also somewhat situational. Deadeye, meanwhile, not really that useful for Reapers in my opinion, since it is a percentage-based damage increase, and Reapers don't really have a high base damage to begin with. And so, despite Annihilate looking interesting, we're going with Homing Mine first. And if we do this, I think we should also unlock Highlands for that second Claymore, just so we get the absolute most out of our abilities. Finally then, we do want to spend a few points from the XCOM pool to give her tactical rigging too, just so we can always give Celica an ammo upgrade. And with that, I think our first Colonel level Reaper is more or less done for now. And as a matter of fact, I think so are we with today's episode. Again, let me know in the comments down below what you think we should do for our next covert action. But above all, I very much hope you enjoyed this very last video of 2023. If you did, then I would of course be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up, and if you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.